We got some big news for Spider-Man 3. Supposedly, all the main articles of all these Hollywood news sites are reporting on this. Jamie Foxx still in talks.
To celebrate Brie Larson's birthday.
Exactly. John had that joke prepared the second this news story dropped.
I was like, it's time for my Brie Larson.
When's Greg going to say it so I can say this? Big news here. Jamie Foxx is in talks to return as Electro for Spider-Man 3, the one with Tom Holland, directed by John Watts. There's a couple of things we have to make clear here. First off, I don't think there's any finalized deals yet. There are people who are saying that it's complete, that it's official. I don't think that's what the case is.
No.
From what we can gather, they didn't even exactly confirm he would be Electro. For all we know, he could be playing a different person.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation as to whether it'll be the Electro that we saw before, if it'll be Electro at all. Most people seem to think it'll be some version of Electro.
I mean, good for him.
I mean, he's arguably the most dedicated. Like, that's not the beloved portrayal of that character, but he arguably looked the most invested in that movie.
This is big news in a bunch of reasons that are, for me, that are outside of Jamie Foxx returning. Let me explain. The idea of Jamie Foxx returning as Electro, like if this was Amazing Spider-Man 3 and Electro was confirmed to return, be like, all right, he was fine. Sure.
Why are we repeating that?
He's definitely a character that gets clowned on a lot. A lot of people chalk up whatever faults they had with Electro, not really on Jamie Foxx's performance, but on the direction they took that character and the writing of that character, which is fair because we all know Jamie Foxx is a wonderful, wonderful actor. He's an Oscar-winning performer for a reason. Still, that being said, you know, like him returning as Electro, I'm more like, what? Okay. All right.
Sure.
Cool.
Why
cool.
not?
Like, it's surprising. It wasn't what I was ever expecting to hear. I'm actually more surprised by that than hearing Andrew Garfield would be making an appearance in here, because I think we've all been suspecting, you know, with Spider-Verse coming out, with Multiverse of Madness coming out, that they are opening up the multiverse of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which would allow for potential crossovers like this, like what DC is clearly doing with their shows, and now with the Flashpoint movie. They're evidently, I mean, at least with the Spider-Man terrain, they're evidently trying to capture some of that. I feel like this idea of having Electro return kind of goes to support more theories that we've sort of been speculating on, and all of us have been going after for quite some time. Right back to that Morbius trailer with seeing the Spider-Man that was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, J.K. Simmons. He did talk about his portrayal as J. Jonah Jameson, how that is a different J. Jonah Jameson. He was pretty clear about that. Didn't he come out recently and say that that was a different J. Jonah Jameson, but they wanted to keep him spiritually in nature with the comics and what we saw with the Raimi version? So that's not the same one.
Yeah, exactly. So we might very well see a totally different take on Electro through Jamie Foxx again, which, I mean, would be an interesting thing to do, not only because, you're bringing back an established piece of continuity, but also, if you let him do something new with that, that's going to be kind of the first time I think we'll have seen that happen here, where it's like, come back, make a new stamp on your character.
Yeah, or they could be opening up the actual multiverse, that he could be the exact same Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and maybe Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker has made his way into that universe where Spider-Man is not this hated fugitive for killing the hero Mysterio, you know?
God.
And maybe this will even tie in with Morbius, and maybe that won't just be a nod in the Morbius trailer with that version of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but that actually is like, oh, no, they got here. Maybe Vulture went there too. So that's what I mean, is like all these things of marketing have been making all these questions sort of arise, and I kind of feel like this whole thing with Jamie Foxx sort of just feeds more into that.
Oh, yeah, because it just makes you wonder as to whether they're going to just do a big old mishmash or whether they're going to kind of, do some weird rebrand or whatever. And it's fun to watch because now DC, Marvel, they're both doing some kind of big multiverse, swing right now. Oh, thwip! thwip, a pun. Fine, I gotta come up with some more now. Yeah, I'm kind of there with you in the same way of being kind of a little nonplussed, but like pleasantly surprised. And I guess what I'm hoping for is, it's funny, if J. Jonah Jameson is a different take on the same character, I guess it makes me wonder more, because part of me goes, are they going for pragmatism here? I know that they've had the Sinister Six in the back of their mind for so long, and they've introduced several of those characters in several of these Spider-Man attempts, and were they sitting here going, well, we got to bring Electro back, but we've already had a recent Electro, but now that we're doing the multiverse, why don't we just bring him in instead?
Exactly.
You know, like...
And I feel like the Spider-Man franchise, out of all the ones in the MCU outside of Wanda and Doctor Strange at this moment, in conjunction with the fact that Spider-Man already has established into the Spider-Verse. In conjunction with that, we have, like we've already done like the multiple timeline thing with Endgame explored. You have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out. Everything has to sort of just get cleared up at a certain point. The thing is, they could kind of backpedal on the whole J. Jonah Jameson thing if they really want to, because they didn't make it clear in Far From Home. Outside of J.K. Simmons's interview, they don't make it crystal clear in the movie itself.
No.
So like, well, they could just, no, that is the same one.
Yeah,
they could
yeah,
just do some shit like that, which wouldn't make sense. But they can if they want. If they want to take actors who played those characters already and put them over here, as opposed to like actually tie in the universe, as it's instead giving a new version of them. If you have J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson, but a different version, this could very well just be that with Electro.
Yeah.
However, I'd actually be more excited at the prospect of them making this the same Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 world, from that Earth. If the MCU is Earth 616, if this is some other Earth. And then also with how Spider-Man Far From Home, granted Mysterio is not actually from
the multiverse.
He's not actually from a multiverse, but he used that concept, and they already teased the minds with that, teased us with the possibility of that, assuming Mysterio is probably still alive. Maybe this does open up the portal in some way, but what excites me about the possibility of this actually being the same Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2 is we are one step closer to getting the crossover that I've been wanting with Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and Andrew Garfield. We got to get that going. And if they could keep that, like, man, if they have like a scene of that and we never learn about that, that would be the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah, it really would be. And to me, I feel like it is a more exciting prospect to have him theoretically playing that same character, because if he's not, then it's literally just casting news. Whereas if you're bringing the character back, that at least says something, because even if the J. Jonah Jameson we saw in the Amazing in Spider-Man Far From Home isn't the one, they're still clearly banking on your familiarity with the original one from Raimi, and it seems like they want to take advantage of that. But that spells a certainly kind of kooky, fun, broad thing they could be doing to move forward. And like at the best of what this news has to offer, it sounds pretty fun, and it also seems like a smart business move, because it's like we've seen Zack Snyder talking about acknowledging the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, and now it's going to make it so that this Amazing Spider-Man 2 that lost so much money, now people are going to have to go watch it if they want the complete continuity. So like, it's also a smart business move.
It's smart. And then also, the fact that this is Tom Holland's franchise is a different Spider-Man franchise than the other ones that we've gotten already. Maybe instead of having to reset up Electro all over again, we have someone who we're already familiar with, so that you can actually speed much faster to, I said that sentence weird, but you can get much quicker towards Sinister Six. If you haven't already. Like, oh, we already know Electro. We know him from this previous one.
Yeah, and even if the origin wasn't perfect, you've still got it, and that's not the most important part of all these characters. So we can just use that from the past and move on.
Although there's a version of this that just sounds hilarious to me if this is the worst Spider-Man movie to come from the Tom Holland one.
and it is the one that apparently Marvel is taking the lead on production for. So if it turns out to be a mess, that's going to be embarrassing.
Which is even more surprising to me if they have Jamie Foxx returning, because I feel like Kevin Feige, it sounds like a Sony move.
I know.
And not a Marvel move.
Exactly.
That kind of baffles my mind even more. We'll see what happens.
Oh,
Right now, we're a lot of this is being reported as 100% confirmed, but we don't know exactly yet. We could get a piece of information slightly off. He could be playing a different person, but what makes it funny to me is if it is the worst one is that he will have struck out 3 times with superhero properties.
No, he's going to play Miles Morales.
But
That's who he's gonna play.
I think in terms of my love for Jamie Foxx, the performer, I would be very happy for him to get an opportunity to do Electro properly in a role that feels redeemed from whatever lackluster one that we felt with Amazing Spider-Man 2. This probably would be the better fit. Maybe Electro is the one who opens up the portal.
Ooh, could be, because he's got electrical powers, and most portals need electricity.
Because I feel like we're likely to assume that Tom Holland would go to that universe, whereas I bet they would probably bring Electro into here.
Yeah.
So
things are bleeding
who's
into
the freaking
this
villain,
universe.
guys? Is it Craven the Hunter? Who is it?
It's every villain.
Yeah.
All the villains are the villain.
Who is it?
The
But
multiverse is the villain.
This is the first almost official confirmed news of a villain to be in Spider-Man 3. So we'll see. We shall see. It's just like I thought like they were going to start shooting this very soon. So like
I think
don't,
they
how
are.
How could he be a main villain? I don't, and like to just be in talks for it. It's just there's some confusing pieces of information.
Maybe he'll just cameo.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I mean. This might not even be a big deal.
Maybe there'll be a hallway of multi-dimensions, and just down one hall, there he is.
It could be like Ronan the Accuser in freaking Captain Marvel. Like it could be the exact same situation where like, oh, he didn't really do much.
He was just nearby, contextually speaking.
All right, guys. Well, generally, are you excited about this news? What doors are you hoping this opens up? If he is indeed coming back as Electro, leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. Please leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like button. Blah, blah, blah. Patron of the Day shout out. I would like to shout out Anissa Oliva.
Aw.
Now, Anissa, today has been quite a busy day with shooting and editing a lot. And then I have on the schedule all day today.
All day.
To unbox this, film and
All
unbox
day.
this at a certain point and put on Patreon a gift you sent me. So much keeps delaying that. There's just things that are dropping, all right?
Yep.
And I will get to it. We will at least film it today. So I promise that whatever's in here, I already love it. I'm
It's
already
the
in
best.
love with whatever's in here. I have
I don't
no idea
want
what it is.
anything other than just this.
But she said this is for my birthday, so
I don't want anything else other than this for you. That's what
that's
I
what I
meant.
wanted
yeah.
to hear, John.
I want you to have this.
But Anissa, thank you for the countless gifts. You are my personal Santa, but a sexy version.
Ooh.
So thank you for being you, Anissa. Love the hell out of you.
Your
I will get to
own
this box, I promise.
Personal Santa.